The massive hangar doors slowly opened, revealing humanity's greatest achievement yet, the HS at Helios. Standing at the observation deck, the lead scientist adjusted her glasses, taking in the sight of the gleaming battleship that stretched nearly half a kilometer in length. The morning sunlight bounced off its pristine white hull, highlighting the revolutionary solar collection panels that covered most of its surface. 10 years of blood, sweat, and countless sleepless nights had led to this moment. The scientist couldn't help but smile, remembering the day she'd first proposed the idea of harnessing solar flares as an energy source. Everyone had laughed then, calling it impossible. But now, looking at the finished ship, she felt a deep sense of pride, knowing that her team had proved all the doubters wrong. The Helios wasn't just any ordinary spacecraft. Its unique design incorporated breakthrough plasma containment technology that could capture and store the raw power of solar flares. The ship's heart was a massive energy core that could process this incredible power, making it the most advanced vessel ever built by human hands. Walking through the ship's corridors with her team, the scientist ran her fingers along the smooth walls, feeling the supple vibration of the power systems coming to life. The crew members they passed all shared the same look of excitement and nervousness. After all, this wasn't just another routine space mission. They were about to test technology that could change the course of human history. In the main control room, dozens of engineers and technicians worked at their stations, running final checks on all systems. Holographic displays filled the air with streams of data, casting a soft blue glow across their focused faces. The ship's captain stood at the central command station, reviewing the launch protocols with their flight crew. "All plasma containment systems are green," called out one of the engineers, their voice steady despite the tension in the room. "Core temperature maintaining at optimal levels." The scientist moved to the main viewport, watching as the ground crew completed their final preparations outside. The massive support structures that had held the Helios during construction were being retracted one by one. Soon, the ship would stand free for the first time, ready to prove its worth to the world. What made this moment even more special was how it had brought humanity together. The Helios project hadn't been the work of just one country or organization. It represented a true global effort. Engineers from every continent had contributed their expertise, pooling resources and knowledge to make this dream a reality. The chief engineer approached with a tablet displaying the final system checks. "Everything's ready," they said, barely containing their excitement. "We've done every possible test on the ground. She's as ready as she'll ever be." Looking around the control room, the scientist could see the same mixture of hope and determination in every face. These weren't just colleagues anymore. They had become family, united by their shared vision of pushing the boundaries of what humans could achieve. As the countdown to the first system power-up began, the scientist thought about how far they'd come. From those first failed experiments in the lab to the breakthrough that made stable plasma containment possible, every step had been a challenge. But they had persevered, driven by the belief that this technology could open up new frontiers for humanity. The ship's engines hummed to life, a sound unlike anything ever heard before. It wasn't the rough roar of chemical rockets, but rather a smooth, almost musical tone that seemed to resonate with the very air around them. The Helios was awake, and it was ready to show the world what it could do. As the first diagnostic tests began, no one in that control room could have possibly imagined that their groundbreaking achievement would soon attract attention from far beyond Earth's atmosphere. The Helios was about to take humanity's first steps into a much larger universe, one filled with wonders and dangers beyond their wildest dreams. The HS Helios glided silently through space, its massive solar panels gleaming in the distant sunlight as it approached Mars orbit. The crew had settled into their routines after 3 months of successful testing. Everything was going exactly as planned, maybe too perfectly, some of them thought. The ship's mess hall was buzzing with conversation during the night shift change. The lead engineer was sipping coffee, dark circles under their eyes showing the strain of constant system monitoring. But there was no dampening their enthusiasm when talking about the ship's performance. "The solar collection rates are off the charts," they explained to a group of junior crew members. "We're capturing more energy than we initially thought possible." They paused as the ship's subtle background hum changed pitch slightly, something they'd all become attuned to during their time aboard. That's when it happened. The ship's sensors started picking up something unusual. At first, it seemed like a simple anomaly, the kind of space noise they'd gotten used to filtering out. But this was different. The patterns were too regular, too structured to be natural. The bridge crew noticed it first. One of the sensor operators adjusted their readings, thinking there must be some mistake. "Hey, you might want to take a look at this," they called out to their supervisor. Soon, the entire bridge was crowded around the main display screen. What they were seeing defied explanation. Energy signatures, unlike anything in their database, were appearing just beyond the Kuiper belt. They pulsed with a rhythm that couldn't possibly be random. The captain ordered additional scans, and with each new piece of data, the reality became clearer. They weren't alone. The discovery sent shockwaves through the crew. Years of searching the stars for signs of intelligent life, and now, during a routine test mission, they'd stumbled upon something extraordinary. The energy patterns were clearly artificial, and they were moving in ways that suggested advanced technology far beyond human capabilities. Back on Earth, Mission Control was buzzing with activity. Scientists and analysts worked around the clock, studying the data streaming back from the Helios. They confirmed what the crew already suspected. These signals weren't just signs of alien life, they were signs of alien civilization actively monitoring human space. The ship's captain gathered the crew for an announcement. Standing in the main assembly area, their voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, they shared what they'd learned. The patterns we're detecting suggest multiple sources, not just one alien species, but several. And from what we can tell, they've been watching us for quite some time. The revelation hit hard. Every person aboard the Helios had dreamed of first contact, but not like this. Finding out that advanced civilizations had been silently observing humanity's progress brought a mix of wonder and unease. What did they think of Earth's newest achievement? What were their intentions? As if in answer to their questions, the energy signatures began to shift. They were moving closer, becoming more distinct. The aliens, it seemed, had decided that humanity's development of solar flare technology warranted a more direct approach. They were coming out of hiding. The crew worked tirelessly to prepare for whatever might come next. They ran countless simulations, fine-tuned their systems, and made sure the Helios was ready for any situation. There was a sense of both excitement and apprehension in the air. They were about to make history, but would it be the kind they hoped for? Looking out at the vast expanse of space through the ship's observation deck, the captain reflected on how quickly everything had changed. Just hours ago, their biggest concern had been optimizing the solar collection systems. Now they faced the prospect of humanity's first encounter with alien civilizations. As the mysterious signals grew stronger, one thing became clear. The Helios had inadvertently crossed a threshold. Humanity's achievement in harnessing solar flares had caught the attention of beings who had perhaps been waiting to see if Earth would reach this level of technology. Whatever came next would change the course of human history forever. The tension aboard the HSS Helios was thick enough to cut with a knife. Everyone held their breath as 3 alien vessels emerged from what looked like ripples in space itself. They were beautiful in a strange way. Their ships had flowing, organic shapes that seemed impossible for metal to achieve, glowing with soft, multicolored lights. The crew gathered around every available viewport, their faces pressed against the transparent panels. Some pulled out personal devices to record the historic moment, while others simply stood in awe. The lead scientist clutched their tablets so tightly their knuckles turned white, trying to process all the data flowing in about the alien ships. "Their technology is incredible," whispered one of the engineers, pointing at their readings. "Those ships aren't just traveling through space, they're somehow bending it around them." The implications were staggering. Humanity had barely mastered solar flare technology, and here were beings who could manipulate space itself. The first transmission came without warning. The ship's communication systems activated on their own, and a holographic image appeared in the main conference room. The crew rushed in to find themselves face-to-face with representatives from 3 distinct alien species. One appeared almost crystalline, with light flowing through their transparent form. Another reminded them of ancient Earth sea creatures with flowing tentacle-like appendages. The third was so wrapped in advanced technology that their true form was impossible to make out. What surprised everyone most was that the aliens spoke perfect English. "We have been studying your languages," the crystalline being explained, its voice creating harmonics that made the air vibrate. "We've watched your species develop with great interest, but now we must discuss your solar flare technology." The captain stepped forward, maintaining their composure despite the extraordinary situation. "We welcome peaceful dialogue," they responded, choosing their words carefully. "Our technology is meant for exploration and advancement, not conflict." The sea creature-like alien moved forward, its movements graceful despite its strange form. "Your intentions may be peaceful," it said, its voice somehow both gentle and firm, "but you don't understand the power you're dealing with. Solar flare technology has consequences beyond your comprehension." The room fell silent as the heavily mechanized third alien spoke, their voice carrying an electronic edge. "We've seen civilizations tear themselves apart with similar discoveries. The ability to harness solar flares can be catastrophic if not properly controlled." The ship's chief engineer couldn't stay quiet any longer. "But we've run countless tests. Our containment systems are stable, our safety protocols are based on limited understanding," the crystalline being interrupted. "You see only the surface of what this technology can do. We represent a coalition of species who learned these lessons the hard way centuries ago." The aliens explained that they were part of a galactic council responsible for monitoring developing civilizations. Earth's breakthrough with the Helios had set off alarm bells throughout their monitoring networks. They weren't just concerned about the technology's destructive potential, they worried about its effects on the very fabric of spacetime. As the crew listened, they began to understand the weight of what they'd created. The Helios wasn't just a breakthrough in human terms, it was a milestone that put Earth on the galactic stage, ready or not. The conversation lasted hours, with both sides sharing information and perspectives. The aliens were diplomatic but firm. The solar flare technology needed to be either modified or abandoned. They spoke of responsibility, of cosmic consequences, and of powers that humanity wasn't yet ready to fully grasp. Looking around at their crew, the captain could see the mix of emotions on every face. Pride in what they'd achieved, fear of losing it all, and amazement at being part of this incredible moment. Whatever happened next would affect not just the Helios and its crew, but the entire human race. As the meeting drew to a close, the crystalline being delivered their final message: "You have 72 hours to make your decision. Choose wisely. The path you take from here will determine your species' place among the stars." Earth's United Council meeting was unlike any other in human history. Leaders from every nation gathered in an emergency session, their faces grim as they watched the recorded footage from the Helios. The alien ultimatum had sent shockwaves through governments worldwide, and now humanity faced its biggest decision yet. Inside the massive council chamber, holographic displays showed the alien ships maintaining their position near the Kuiper Belt. More vessels had arrived, forming what could only be described as a blockade around the solar system. The message was clear: they weren't leaving until they got an answer. The lead scientist from the Helios project stood at the podium, addressing the council through a shaking voice. "We've spent years developing this technology. It's not just about power generation anymore, it's become a symbol of human achievement. But now we're being told to just give it up." Debates erupted across the chamber. Some leaders argued for compliance, citing the obvious technological superiority of the alien coalition. Others demanded resistance, seeing the ultimatum as a threat to human independence. The council chamber buzzed with heated arguments in dozens of languages. "We can't just surrender our greatest technological breakthrough," shouted one representative, pounding their fist on the table. "This is the future of human space exploration we're talking about." Another council member stood up, their voice calm but firm. "And what happens if we refuse? Look at those ships out there. We're clearly outmatched. Is this technology worth risking everything for?" Back on the Helios, the crew watched the council debates through their communication feeds. The captain paced the bridge, feeling the weight of responsibility on their shoulders. They knew the ship's capabilities better than anyone, but they also understood the aliens' concerns weren't just empty threats. The ship's engineers worked frantically to compile data, hoping to find something, anything, that might help them keep their technology while addressing the aliens' concerns. They'd poured their lives into this project, and watching it slip away felt like losing a part of themselves. Hours ticked by and tension mounted. The alien ships began moving in complex patterns, establishing what appeared to be a grid around the solar system. Their message arrived with crystal clarity. No ships would be allowed to leave Earth's solar system until the Helios project was dismantled. The Council's scientific advisors presented simulation after simulation, showing possible outcomes of both compliance and resistance. The data was clear. Humanity's current level of technology couldn't match the alien coalition's capabilities. But giving up the solar flare technology meant losing years of progress and potentially humanity's best chance at becoming a true spacefaring civilization. In the Council Chamber's observation deck, 2 senior delegates stood watching Earth below. "Look at how far we've come," one said softly. "From cave paintings to solar flare technology. And now this." They gestured at the distant dots of light that marked the alien ships. The pressure wasn't just political. Public knowledge of the situation had sparked worldwide reactions. Cities were filled with protesters, some demanding resistance, others pleading for peaceful cooperation. The entire human race seemed to hold its breath, waiting to see what their leaders would decide. The ship's chief engineer made one last attempt to find a middle ground. What if we could show them our safety protocols, prove that we understand the risks? But deep down, they knew it might not be enough. The aliens' warning about cosmic consequences went beyond anything human science had considered. As the 72-hour deadline approached, the Council prepared to vote. The decision would shape humanity's future in ways no one could fully predict. Would they stand firm and risk confrontation with vastly superior forces? Or would they step back, surrendering their dreams of solar flare-powered exploration? The weight of history pressed down on every person in that chamber. This wasn't just about a single piece of technology anymore. It was about humanity's place in a universe that had suddenly become much larger and more complex than anyone had imagined. Time was running out aboard the HMS Helios. The captain and lead scientist huddled in the ship's main laboratory, surrounded by holographic displays showing data from their latest analysis. With less than 10 hours remaining before the aliens' deadline, they had discovered something unexpected in their readings. "Look at these energy patterns." The scientist pointed to a complex wave formation on the screen. "The aliens aren't just worried about our solar flare technology because it's powerful. They're concerned because it interferes with their own power systems." The discovery sent ripples of excitement through the crew. For hours, they'd been monitoring the alien ship's energy signatures, and now the puzzle pieces were finally falling into place. The way the solar flare technology interacted with space wasn't just about harvesting energy. It created unique wavelengths that could disrupt other forms of power generation. The captain leaned forward, studying the data carefully. So when they talk about cosmic consequences, they're not just being dramatic. How technology could actually affect their ability to travel through space. The implications were staggering. They hadn't just created a new power source, they'd accidentally developed something that could influence advanced alien technology. Down in the engine room, engineers worked frantically to understand these interactions better. One of them looked up from their calculations, eyes wide with realization. "It's like we've discovered a completely different aspect of physics, one that even the aliens haven't fully explored." The ship's communication officer burst into the lab, breathing heavily. "The alien coalition is requesting another meeting. They say they've detected our recent tests and want to discuss them immediately." The captain took a deep breath, knowing this could be their last chance to find a solution. In the ship's conference room, the holographic forms of the alien representatives appeared once again. The crystalline being spoke first, its voice carrying a note of concern. "Your recent experiments show you're beginning to understand the true nature of your discovery. This makes your decision even more crucial." The captain stepped forward confidently. "We've learned that our technology affects your ship's power systems. But instead of seeing this as a threat, couldn't we work together to understand it better? To find ways to make both our technologies compatible?" The sea creature-like alien moved closer, its tentacles swaying thoughtfully. "You suggest cooperation rather than submission? Interesting. Most species in your position would either surrender or threaten to use this discovery as a weapon." The mechanized third alien added, "Your approach is unexpected. Perhaps we underestimated your species' capacity for innovative thinking." The lead scientist joined the conversation, pulling up displays showing their latest findings. We don't want to disrupt your civilization's technology, but we also can't abandon this discovery. There must be a way to modify our systems so they don't interfere with yours. The tension in the room was electric as the aliens conferred among themselves in their own languages. The crew waited anxiously, knowing everything hinged on this moment. They had chosen a path of cooperation rather than confrontation, hoping it would prove humanity's readiness to join the galactic community. Finally, the crystalline being turned back to address them. Your willingness to seek understanding rather than advantage is promising. Perhaps there is more to learn from your species than we initially thought. The captain felt a weight lift from their shoulders, but knew they weren't out of danger yet. So you'll give us a chance to prove we can use this technology responsibly. We will extend the deadline, the mechanized alien announced. But we must see concrete evidence that you can modify your technology to coexist with ours. The blockade will remain until then. As the alien holograms faded away, the crew exchanged looks of relief and determination. They had bought themselves time and a chance to prove humanity's worth. The lead scientist was already sketching out new modifications on their tablet, while engineers began preparing for the work ahead. The captain looked around at their crew, seeing hope replace fear in their eyes. They had chosen understanding over confrontation, cooperation over conflict. Now they just had to prove that humanity was ready for the responsibilities that came with their incredible discovery. The atmosphere in the Helios's main engineering bay crackled with energy, both from the equipment and the excitement of the crew. They had been working non-stop for days, transforming their solar flare technology in ways they never imagined possible. The lead engineer wiped sweat from their brow as they made final adjustments to the new shield configuration. If this works, they explained to the gathered crew, we'll be able to create a protective barrier around Earth using the same technology that worried the aliens in the first place. Their hands moved swiftly across the control panel, bringing up a simulation of their plan on the main screen. The captain watched intently as the holographic display showed their modified solar flare technology creating a massive energy shield. Instead of capturing and storing solar energy for weapons or propulsion, they had completely redesigned the system to act as a defensive umbrella. The beauty of it, the chief scientist added, pointing to the complex energy patterns, is that it actually stabilizes the space around it. Not only will it protect Earth, but it should also make it easier for alien ships to navigate nearby without interference from our technology. Down in the testing chamber, technicians carefully calibrated the newly modified equipment. The room hummed with power as they ran through simulation after simulation. One of the younger engineers couldn't contain their excitement. We're not just proving we can use this technology safely, we're showing we can make it better than anyone imagined. The ship's communication officer rushed in with news from Earth. The United Council is fully backing our plan. They're calling it Project Guardian, humanity's first line of defense that doesn't threaten anyone else. The crew members shared knowing looks. They had all been working toward this moment. Outside the ship's massive windows, the alien blockade remained in position, their ships glowing with otherworldly energy. The crew couldn't help but wonder what they thought about all this activity. Were they watching? Did they understand what humanity was trying to achieve? The lead scientist gathered everyone in the main conference room for a final briefing. Diagrams and technical readouts covered every available screen as they explained the details of their plan. We're not just building a shield, they emphasized, we're creating a bridge between our technology and theirs. One of the senior engineers raised their hand. But what if something goes wrong? We've never attempted anything on this scale before. It was the question on everyone's mind, but they all knew the stakes were too high to let fear hold them back. The captain stepped forward, their voice steady and determined. Every great achievement in human history started with someone taking a calculated risk. This is our moment to prove we deserve our place among the stars. As final preparations were made, crew members shared quiet moments of reflection. Some wrote messages to family back on Earth, others double-checked their calculations for the 100th time. The weight of responsibility pressed down on all of them. Success meant a new era for humanity. Failure could mean the end of their dreams of space exploration. In the ship's observation dome, the lead scientist and captain stood watching Earth rotate slowly below them. You know, The scientist said softly, "When we first built this ship, I thought we were reaching for the stars. Now I realize we were reaching for something even greater, understanding." The captain nodded, thinking about how far they'd come. "We started by trying to harness the power of solar flares. Now we're about to use that same power to protect our world and prove we can be trusted with advanced technology." As the final countdown began, every person aboard the Helios took their positions. They had transformed their greatest achievement from a potential weapon into a shield of peace. Now they just had to prove it would work. The future of human-alien relations hung in the balance, and they were about to make their boldest move yet. No one aboard the Helios expected the test to come quite so dramatically. The crew was running final checks on their modified shield system when the emergency alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The captain rushed to the bridge, their heart pounding as they saw the situation unfolding on the main screen. Multiple unknown vessels just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The sensor operator called out, their fingers flying across the controls. They're not part of the alien coalition blockade. Their weapons are hot and they're heading straight for Earth's orbital stations. The lead scientist burst onto the bridge, tablet in hand. "The alien coalition is signaling us. They're saying this is a rogue faction, pirates who prey on developing civilizations during first contact situations." The information scrolled across their screen, showing the approaching threat in terrifying detail. Earth's orbital defense stations, home to thousands of people, lay directly in the path of these hostile ships. The captain knew they had seconds to make a decision. "This is it," they announced, their voice cutting through the chaos on the bridge. "Power up the shield system. This isn't a test anymore. This is the real thing." In the engine room, engineers scrambled to bring the modified solar flare technology online. Warning lights flashed as they pushed the systems to full power for the first time. "The next solar flare is approaching," one engineer shouted above the noise. "We'll only get one shot at this." The hostile ships launched their first wave of attacks against Earth's orbital stations. The captain watched in horror as the energy weapons lit up space, but they had to wait for exactly the right moment. Time seemed to slow down as they counted the seconds until the incoming solar flare would reach them. "Shield systems at full power," the chief engineer reported. "But we've never channeled this much energy before. The containment fields are barely holding." The lead scientist's voice was tense but focused. "The solar flare will reach us in 10 seconds. If we time this wrong, we'll lose everything. If we get it right." Now, the captain's command cut through the air like a knife. The Helios's modified systems roared to life, catching the massive solar flare and channeling its energy in a way never before seen by human or alien eyes. A massive shield of pure energy began to form, spreading out from the ship like a blooming flower of light. The hostile ship's weapons struck the shield and dissipated harmlessly. The crew watched in amazement as their defensive barrier not only protected the orbital stations, but actually stabilized the space around them, making it impossible for the attackers to maintain their aggressive approach. In the engine room, engineers worked frantically to maintain the shield's integrity. "The containment fields are holding," one shouted in disbelief. "The modifications are working even better than we calculated." The alien coalition ships moved closer, their sensors obviously studying what the humans had achieved. The hostile ships, realizing their weapons were useless against the shield, began to retreat. The bridge crew allowed themselves a moment of celebration, but they knew their work wasn't done yet. "Look at these readings," the lead scientist said, pointing to their display. "The shield isn't just blocking their attacks, it's actually creating a stable zone of space that makes weapons fire impossible. We've created something entirely new." Through the ship's windows, they could see the shield shimmering like a giant aurora, protecting their homeworld while demonstrating their technological achievement in the most dramatic way possible. The alien coalition's ships moved even closer, clearly fascinated by what they were witnessing. As the last of the hostile ships jumped away into faster-than-light travel, the crew of the Helios realized they had done more than just defend Earth. They had shown the galaxy that humanity could take a technology that scared advanced civilizations and transform it into something that protected life rather than threatened it. The captain looked around at their crew, seeing pride and amazement on every face. They had gambled everything on this moment, and their faith in human ingenuity had paid off. Now they waited to see how the alien coalition would respond to this unprecedented demonstration of humanity's potential. The main conference room of the Helios had never felt so crowded. Representatives from the alien coalition filled one side of the room, their diverse forms creating an incredible display of galactic life. The ship's crew sat opposite them, still riding high from their successful defense against the hostile attack. "You've done something remarkable," the crystalline being began, its voice resonating with what seemed like genuine admiration. "In all our years of monitoring developing civilizations, we've never seen a species take a technology we feared and transform it so completely." The chief engineer pulled up holographic displays showing the shield's performance data. "The modified system actually creates a zone of peaceful space," they explained, their voice steady despite their excitement. "No weapons can function within its range, but normal ship operations aren't affected at all." The sea creature-like alien moved closer to examine the data, its tentacles waving in what the crew had learned was a sign of interest. "You've discovered an entirely new application of solar flare energy, one that even our scientists hadn't considered possible." Around the ship, crew members were still processing what they'd achieved. In the observation deck, a group of junior engineers watched as repair ships helped the orbital stations that had nearly been destroyed. "Just think," one said softly, "if we hadn't modified our technology when we did." The mechanized alien representative interrupted their thoughts, its electronic voice carrying through the ship's communication system. "We came here believing we needed to stop you from developing dangerous technology. Instead, you've shown us that sometimes fresh eyes can see possibilities that older civilizations miss." Back in the conference room, the lead scientist was deep in discussion with the alien scientists. "The shield doesn't just protect against attacks," they explained, pointing to complex energy readings. "It actually helps stabilize the local space-time fabric. We think it could make space travel safer for everyone." The captain stood at the viewport, watching Earth rotate below. A member of yet another alien species, one they hadn't seen before, approached them. "Your world is beautiful," the alien said, its translator converting musical tones into words. "We've been watching your kind for centuries, waiting to see if you would be ready to join us. Now we know." Throughout the ship, celebrations were beginning as word spread that the alien coalition was withdrawing their ultimatum. Crew members who had worked endless hours to modify the shield technology finally allowed themselves to relax, sharing stories of the tense days leading up to their success. In the engine room, the engineering team was already discussing improvements with their alien counterparts. "If we adjust the containment field like this," one engineer suggested, drawing diagrams in the air, "we might be able to extend the shield's range even further." The alien scientists nodded in appreciation. "And if you incorporate some of our understanding of space-time dynamics," they added, "the energy efficiency could be improved tenfold." The possibility of combining human innovation with alien knowledge opened up endless opportunities. The lead scientist couldn't help smiling as they watched humans and aliens working side by side. "When we first built this ship," they said to no one in particular, "we thought we were reaching for the stars. Instead, we ended up building bridges between civilizations." As the day drew to a close, the captain gathered their crew for an announcement. The alien coalition had not only accepted their modified technology, but had offered Earth membership in their Galactic Council. Humanity would have a chance to learn from countless advanced civilizations while contributing their own unique perspectives and innovations. The crystalline being made one final statement before departing. "Your species has proven that progress doesn't have to come at the cost of peace. You've shown wisdom beyond your years, and we look forward to seeing what else you might teach us." Looking around at their crew, the captain saw the future of human-alien relations in every excited face and determined expression. They had turned a moment of crisis into an opportunity for understanding, and in doing so, had opened the door to humanity's greatest adventure yet. 1 year after the historic first contact, the HSS Helios looked very different. The ship's hull now gleamed with a combination of human and alien technology, a testament to the incredible advances made through cooperation. The crew had grown too, with alien scientists and engineers working alongside their human counterparts. The ship's observation deck was packed with both human and alien observers, all gathered to watch the launch of Earth's second solar flare-powered vessel. This one had been built using combined knowledge from multiple civilizations, improving on the Helios' original design in ways that seemed impossible just a year ago. Hard to believe how much has changed, the lead scientist remarked to their alien colleague, watching as the new ship rose gracefully from its construction dock. A year ago, we thought we were about to lose everything we'd worked for. Now look at us. The changes weren't just in space. Back on Earth, cities were being transformed by the introduction of alien technology. But unlike the fears many had expressed about losing human culture to alien influence, the exchange had gone both ways. Alien visitors were just as fascinated by human art, music, and creativity as humans were by their advanced science. In the Helios' main laboratory, human and alien scientists worked side by side on the next generation of shield technology. The protective barrier that had saved Earth's orbital stations had become just the first step in a whole new field of peaceful space technology. The latest versions could create safe zones large enough to protect entire solar systems. The key was looking at it differently, one of the human engineers explained to a group of alien students. Instead of seeing solar flares as just a power source or a potential weapon, we saw them as a way to make space safer for everyone. The alien youngsters watched in fascination as simulations showed the shield's effect on space-time. The captain stood on the bridge, reviewing reports from Earth's new fleet of exploration vessels. Each ship now carried combined crews of humans and aliens, sharing knowledge and discovering new wonders together. The radical trust shown by both sides had paid off beyond anyone's expectations. Down in the ship's recreation area, off-duty crew members from a dozen different species shared meals and stories. Human foods had become surprisingly popular among certain alien species, while alien art forms had captured the imagination of human artists and musicians. Cultural exchange had proved just as valuable as technological cooperation. Remember when we thought the aliens were here to shut us down? One engineer asked their colleagues, both human and alien, during a break. Now we're helping design ships that can travel between galaxies. The group laughed, a strange but harmonious mixture of human and alien sounds. In the ship's new diplomatic section, representatives from Earth sat with members of the Galactic Council, planning the next phase of human integration into the larger community of spacefaring civilizations. The humans' unique approach to problem-solving had earned them respect throughout the galaxy. The lead scientist's team had expanded dramatically, now leading a multi-species research initiative. Humans have a special way of looking at challenges, one alien researcher noted. You don't just accept limitations, you look for ways around them. It's refreshing. Outside the ship, construction crews were building the first of many planned shield stations around Earth. Each one incorporated the modified solar flare technology that had turned potential conflict into cooperation. The stations would ensure Earth's safety while serving as a symbol of peaceful technological development. The captain received a transmission from Earth's United Council. More nations were joining the space program, pooling resources and talent to build new ships and stations. The dream of space exploration had united humanity in ways that once seemed impossible. As the day shift ended, the crew gathered for their traditional sunset viewing. Through the ship's massive windows, they watched Earth's sun sink behind their planet, its solar flares now seen not as a threat or merely a power source, but as a bridge between civilizations. We did more than prove ourselves to the galaxy, the captain said to their crew. We showed that the future of space exploration isn't about conquering or competing, it's about working together to make the universe a better place for everyone. Looking around at the diverse faces of their crew, both human and alien, they knew this was just the beginning of humanity's greatest adventure.